Hello, hello. This is Yuri with Moving Sales Professionals for yet another episode of our podcast. And with me today, we are thrilled to have Travis Weathers, who is a highly successful entrepreneur and a renowned figure in the world of digital marketing. Travis is the CEO and owner of Rotate Digital, a company that provides exceptional local CEO services, SEO services, for service-based businesses. He has been instrumental helping numerous companies achieve higher visibility and increase their customer base through their and his expertise in digital marketing, on and on and on.
You
But
sure you're talking
he's the
about
man you want
me?
to talk to. Yes, we are talking about you. So let's sit back, grab your notes, and get ready to write things down, learn from one of the best in the business. So, Travis, can you tell us about your background in digital marketing, how you got started with Rotate Digital?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on today. That means a lot, and I'm
Oh, thank
excited
you.
to share some really cool nuggets and helpful stuff for moving owners, especially in a time right now where you know doing everything right is really needed. And so we've got so many clients. We've been able to learn a lot, and I'm excited to share as much as I can today. So, what was the question? How I got started with Rotate Digital?
Yes, sir.
Well, I got started about 4 years ago, wanted to start a business, probably like everyone else did. Left my job as a marketer and decided to kind of pursue marketing. And there's so many different avenues, so many different things you could pursue. And I fell in love with SEO mainly because of the value it brought. SEO at the time was not as heavily focused on brands, and so it was a lot more of a something you could do with anybody, and it's now morphed to like you really got to have a good brand. And so I'm loving it even more because instead of just purely providing SEO services, we're really able to help provide branding experiences, branding changes for moving companies so that they are really set apart in their local industry as some of the top and most trusted movers. So got started about that 4 years ago and just absolutely grew in the moving industry market during COVID. And yeah, so we've been doing that now and excited to start our fourth or fifth year in business.
Yeah, so you're parallel to what we're doing basically, because I started this about the same amount of time.
Yeah, it feels like everybody in the moving industry started something around 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, I
It's
mean,
pretty
I've been in the industry for over 20 years, but moving sales professionals, yeah, that where we started in 2018.
Oh, really? Nice.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. And Travis, even though you're based in Arizona, right, Trav?
Based in Arizona, where it's 100 degrees and it's just the beginning of April.
We're 72 today in Maryland. But Travis has actually physically been to our office here in Maryland.
I
We do
have.
we do
I'm
offer that.
jealous. You have a nice office.
We do offer that to all of our clients and all our prospective clients. You're more than welcome to come and check out and see how we operate. And we'd love to see you. Come, feel free to come for a visit. Contact us if you want to. We're more than happy to talk to you and show you around and meet our great staff. So that
Yeah.
would yeah, we're
I
open. And now for a quick message from our sponsors. For limited time only, we have partnered with an SEO and marketing company with discounted rates for their services. Schedule an appointment via Calendly link below to learn more. Thank you. And now getting back to the podcast. I don't think there's
I
too
did
many
it,
people.
so
I don't think there are too many people that do that, by the way. I don't think there are
yeah,
too many companies that do this that offer that. Please
too
feel free.
vulnerable.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you have to stand by your brand at the end of the day. Everybody does. But anyway, so why did you decide to focus specifically on the moving industry for your local SEO services?
Yeah, I'd say some of the main benefit or the main kind of reasons we did it is I had a good friend who was a moving business owner and really struggling to grow. And there's a point where he was almost getting to the point where he was going to shut doors down and just kind of call it quits. And he wanted to know if I could help. So I kind of dove in. We built him a website, really, I mean, took his website to a whole new level. People started trusting his business more because of the branding that we did on his website, the sales orientation of his website, the things we said, the photos, the design. It made him just feel like a bigger company, even though he was still a smaller company at that time. And basically, we started doing some SEO work and getting him ranked on Google. And really, it was the proof of the pudding of getting visible on Google really changed the trajectory of his business. And so we thought, well, if we can do it for that person and that industry, in the moving industry, we can continue doing that. And we knew that we would be most effective and get the best results by choosing to focus on one niche, which is the moving industry, because then everybody can be at a higher level quality, right? Our account managers know the moving industry better than someone at an SEO company that has account managers that have to manage a bunch of different industries, right? Our SEO team, they only work on moving company websites, so they know the language, they know the layout, they know the keywords, right? We know how to talk the language, and so we're able to give so much more value to our customers. And so we chose to dive into that, and we've grown exponentially by doing that, and have, you know, really had an opportunity to change a lot of people's businesses and the trajectory they're going to, where some of these moving company owners are calling us up and going, hey, like, yeah, it's cool, we got some new sales and great, but like, man, slow season hit and I didn't have to let my key drivers go that normally have to let go in the slow season. And that right there was just a kind of a pat on the back of, wow, you can really make a big difference with just getting visible on Google. So that's kind of how we chose the moving industry. And, you know, we've just haven't looked back and haven't changed ever since that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we're definitely seeing that. I mean, of course, as far as keywords go, moving industry is fairly simple because there's not as many keywords as some of the other stuff that's out there. You know, we all know what the words are. Honestly, if we start rattling them off right now, we're gonna have that list. But between me and Travis, we could have that list together pretty quickly here.
Right. Well, and that's the beautiful part, and the hard part is because they are so simple, right? Movers, moving companies, movers near me, moving companies near me, long distance movers, if that's a service that you offer for the legal side of things, right? And legal purposes, like that is really what most people in the last 5 years, best moving companies has kind of come up on the ranks of more popular terms, which that hasn't been a more popular search term. But because that's so simple, it becomes massively competitive. And because it becomes massively competitive, it becomes very hard to actually see the change. And so that's why you'll see a lot of SEO companies start going after easier keywords like, you know, best moving companies in Salt Lake City, Utah, right? It's like, okay, well, now we can rank you for that, but not many people are searching for that, right? And so it becomes more competitive, and now every little competitive advantage that we offer is ever so more valuable. But yeah, it's a very simple, you know, I've listed out all the main keywords outside of unique changes depending on the culture or the environment
or
that
the
we're at in
area.
the United
Something
States.
can be
Right.
specific. It's some things are very area specific, especially like if you're dealing with lead providers. One lead provider, for example, can be awesome at, like in Maryland, but it could be completely horrible in California. So it's like they're not always. That's why you always got to try them out. Like everybody always asks me, companies always ask me, well, what do you recommend? What lead providers do you recommend? And I said, look, unfortunately, there's nothing really too unique out there. We all, like all the moving companies, you guys all know the lead providers.
Right.
You all know
Well,
who they are. You all know the names. That's not the key. The key is for those lead providers to be good for your specific area of operation.
right. Well,
That's whatever. Yeah, and then obviously Google
lead
and stuff like
providers
that.
are like our arch nemesis, right? When in our marketing and our sales pitch, it's like, you know, we're like, get away from the lead providers and do SEO. But if I'm going to talk about how to leverage the lead providers, man, lead providers can be valuable. The problem is it's a sales game. Becomes a sales game, which is why then companies like you guys, moving sales professionals, is so valuable, because if the owner doesn't have time to play the sales game of calling and following up on a consistent basis, they'll never win in the lead provider industry. Plenty of companies come and have success with lead providers, but it's because they have a very systematic sales process approach.
And now for a quick message from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com to learn more. Lead providers follow up. I say that a billion times, and My
A
people are
billion.
my people are sick of me saying it because that's the word that I say every single day, a bunch of times a day. It's follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. At this point, my management staff, and they're still on the phone. So anytime they book jobs, they say, and it's off a follow up. They're like, haha, another booking off the follow up.
Yeah.
To once again to hit that message home, because that's the only way that you're going to be successful fleet providers. And right now, with the current market and everything, the quality of leads, if before maybe, I don't know, 10% were junk, now because of the way it's been and less people moving because of the current housing market and interest rates and everything else, the percentages of junk are much higher. So you're, in some cases, you may be reaching 15-20%. And that's pretty high for as far as junk leads go.
Right. Well, if you think about, can I share some of the stats we were talking about earlier?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So when you talk about what's going on in the industry, when you look at Google Trends, the search terms moving companies and those related, if you look over 5 years, you take an aggregation over the search terms, right? How many times or how much volume is being searched when it comes to search terms related to and or moving companies. And we put the most searches as 100 and the least as 0, meaning the top time, if it's 100, means whether that's 1,000 searches or 1,000,000,000 searches, 100 is the number relative, right? And so I'm trying to put this in context. March of 2022 last year was the most amount of search interest in and for moving companies in the last 5 years ever. So if March of 22 marks the 100 spot comparatively to the last 5 years, where the summertime max is almost half, just over half of that, right? So in March of 22, the amount of people that searched for moving companies was almost 40% more than, or 50% more than what it was searched in 2022 versus the past years. And so what has happened is that 100 marking in March of 22 has consistently just dropped all the way through our slow season in December of this year, where it became the lowest amount of search terms in Google, right? And so we're going to call that 29, right? So it went from 100 as the most searches in March of 22 down to 29 total volume of search searches for moving companies. The problem is we're sitting here today in April of 2023. Normally you go from a 29 and you're sitting in about April, March, you're sitting about a 47 to 50% volume, okay? The problem is right now we're sitting at only 36% volume. So we're now almost 40 or 35% less volume in the March, April time than we're normally in the last 5 years during March. So what that means, with full circle coming around, leads are valuable. They're few and far in between. Customers and potential customers are valuable. They're few and far in between, with lots of moving companies hungry for that move. And so the competition is unbelievably high right now. You have to be actively, proactively going after and winning moves. If you're playing the game you played in 2022, being passive about everything, you won't win. You won't win the game this year in 2023. The guys who are winning are the guys who are doing outbound, who are reaching out, who are building back up relationships with realtors and doing the postcards and doing the SEO, all the things that you could get away with not doing. Now it's becoming ever so important to run a very good business and do all the things you didn't necessarily have to do in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So the lead providers are the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would you say are some common mistakes that service-based and businesses make when it comes to their online presence, and how can they avoid them?
Oh man, there's so many of them. Common mistakes, and more importantly, I'll talk about the biggest mistakes, the ones that are going to hurt you the most. I'll start with the easiest one: domains, right? Branding and domains. In 10 years ago, getting www.moversphoenix.com used to be a powerful digital marketing move. No longer the case. Google is so heavily focused on the branding of companies to set as their value for whether they show up in the search results. And so we just onboarded a new client probably 3 months ago, and they had 3 separate domains: www. Well, I'm going to make it up, moving company citynumber1.com, www.movingcompanycitynumber2.com. Call it, what's a city with three major cities? Let's call it Texas, right? Moving company Houston.com, moving company Dallas.com. And although that worked in the past, what happens is Google looks at those three domains as three separate entities. And although you have one big, beautiful brand, Google doesn't see that. Your clients see that, but Google doesn't. And so that's one big mistake, is like, have one domain with multiple sub locations when it comes to SEO and your branding, because Google's going to value that. If you look at 2 Men in a Truck, how dare I say 2 Men in a Truck on this podcast here, but 2 Men in a Truck, right? 2 Men in a Truck do it right? 2meninatruck.com. You look at all their locations across the United States, it's still one domain with sub locations. And so that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that can kill you on SEO. The other side of things is not valuing your online presence when it comes to your website. If you're doing under, maybe I would say, let's call it $150,000 to $175,000 a year in sales. If you're doing less than that, then cover your ears, because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the guys who are doing about $200K a year in sales or more. If you're not valuing yourself as a company, as a brand, you are going to miss out on sales. Forget rankings, forget whatever it is. When someone comes to your website, they need to be confident that they can trust you with some of their most precious things, right? And what will happen is you'll go on GoDaddy, you'll go on Wix, you'll create a kind of a mediocre website, and it's fine. But when you compare yourself to your competitors, it doesn't look that great, and you will lose sales because of that, because you may even get recommended, and it's like, yeah, but how, like, are they legit? Are they really legit? So go spend $2,500 to $5,000, somewhere around there, or even less if you got a friend who's doing it and can do it cheaper. Get a really good website, and the key is go get photography for your website. It'll massively exponentially increase your brand presence and authority online, which will increase the amount of sales. And so if you have that going for you, that'll be a huge win. So
yeah, I gotta
those are some of
update
the
the
main
photography
things.
on my website. That's what I gotta do.
I know, you and me both. We're redoing our website too, and we got to get some photography.
I've added quite a few things. I've updated quite a few things, but there's more updates to come.
Yeah, but yeah, no, those are the things that I would say are some big levers that you can pull, and things that, I know we're talking about mistakes, but these are the things to basically to do. The other one is just getting reviews. Like, you've absolutely got to get reviews. I just recently moved, as of 11 days ago. I just recently moved. I had a wonderful experience with a moving company, and it's easy to trust them because it was referred. But man, if you're not getting reviews online and you don't have over 25, 30 reviews, it's going to be tough to trust me. If I find you online, it's going to be hard for me to trust your moving company. And so you may have completed 150 moves, 300 moves, but man, if you're not getting the reviews, I'm going to struggle, and your customers are going to struggle to trust you. So you got to go get those reviews. And part of that process, I'm going on a tangent, but one more thing, really try to move yourself. Like, try to get in the mindset of someone who's moving. I just moved. I had common questions, right? Do I take out my drawers? Do I take out the stuff out of my drawers? What about the clothes? Do I bring them over? Didn't know I couldn't transfer propane tanks in the moving truck, right? At least in the state of Arizona.
Nothing that can go kaboom.
Nothing, I didn't know that, right? So now I needed to know that I need transportation that day. I needed to carry that stuff. I need to know, and these are all the things that started going through my mind 2 weeks up before. So imagine a moving company sending out text messages, answering some of these common problems. Man, I've got a great experience with you. Now I have a great move with you. I leave you a review, and now I'm going to refer you. So it's all explained. All the little stuff you never had to do, you have to start
Well,
doing it.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna make a lot of those India-based review people go crap, But I'm gonna say one thing, guys. Reviews are the way of the world, and the best things for you to do. The farther you get away from the move, the less likely you are to get a review from them. And of course, we all know people are more likely to post things when they're pissed than when they're happy, right? So realistically, what you should be doing, you just completed a good move. The customer's happy, they just tipped you guys. Right there and then, before you leave the job, Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your business. Please help a local business out. Here's an iPad. Can you put a review here, here, and here? Right there before you leave.
So, like, how many reviews do you want?
As but seriously, it's like it's really that simple, but you got to make that effort. How many jobs do you guys do every month? How many jobs do you guys do every year? You have that focus every single time you come out and do a job. You're going to have a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand reviews by the time you're into that first year. If you have 3, 4 trucks on the road and you guys really do a great job, you can have, you know, easily 500 reviews by the end of the year if you're doing 1,200 plus jobs a year.
It's a holistic organic approach you got to start
Mhm.
taking. Is you can't just throw PPC money at your business. You can't throw people at your problems, right? You really, as a business, especially as a moving business owner into this time, including us, like we don't have the luxury of being able to just get away with things now. And so you have to take a holistic approach and look at every avenue of your business and go, what is the most important thing that needs to happen in this department? What's the most important outcome? And then your efforts need to be going towards fixing that outcome and making that outcome happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how has today's economic situation impacted the way the service-based businesses approach their digital marketing, and what advice do you have for them in this new landscape?
Well, I think I've already answered that question. I mean, the
Well,
approach is you can't just throw one marketing solution at the problem. You can't throw people at the problem. Everything's got to be holistic, and all the things that you said you didn't need or you could get away with, your competitors are using to win the customers over. So if you're not going to do it, you need something that your business is doing to start winning the customers. For instance, if you go, wow, I'm too busy, or I don't want to do outbound sales, I don't want to go door knocking on the most 30, the best 30 houses that are most likely to convert, right? If you're looking at a 400 to $900,000 range house, and you're going, I know those convert with me. If you're not willing to do the outbound work to go knock on the door, drop off some boxes, give them a call, send a postcard. If you're not willing to do that, guess what? Your competitors are willing to do that, and they're going to
you
probably
have to
win
you
that
have to be
customer.
creative
So
and take an extra step.
if you're not going to do that, what are you going to do? Right? I know plenty of moving companies not investing online. So maybe that's your lever, right? Is now you're investing online, but you got to think through, you cannot be 2023 is about making active changes in your business. Do not become passive, to be very active and proactive at what you're doing. And here's the key, and this is something I just learned, and the outcome you want from it. It's easy to take action on things, but you really got to think about the outcome you want. Then you can make the action the goal, but what is the outcome you want, right? And that's what you got to really focus on, right? Is the outcome estimates, new estimates? Is the outcome referral? Like what is the outcome you want in your business and the departments? And then what are the actions that are going to affect that outcome? So I've already talked about kind of the marketing tips, but ultimately it's a holistic approach. And we're having some big brands sign up for SEO right now with us specifically, because they know that they're going to spend the money to win the customers and their competition is not. And that's key. When the big boys are doing it, it makes you think, all right, what do I need to be doing to win?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we're doing for us here, Moving Sales Professionals, of course, we're the one avenue that you can take that would help you. But then
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
thing where, like, for example, we're getting very heavily where we have a few clients now in UK. So we're talking to a lot of UK clients as well. And UK, it's something that one of my clients said to me today. That's what my UK client. And she said, do you see the big boys advertise a lot more than in the past? So that right there tells you that when the big boys spend a lot more money on advertising than they used to, that tells you there's not as much business to go around, first of all. And second of all, the competition is much more fierce than it used to be.
Yeah. I've never
When
seen the two
the
men in a truck advertisement. Been seeing them on Hulu lately.
Yeah, I've been seeing them. Yeah, lately, absolutely. That's definitely popping up. But anyway, Travis, it's a pleasure to have you on our podcast. I'm sure we'll have you at some point again, and we'll continue chatting, and we'll run into each other at events, of course, again, I'm sure. And once again, it's a pleasure having you on. And as we always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you very much for joining our podcast. Please like and subscribe, Moving Sales Professionals. Please follow Travis. He's on LinkedIn. He's on Facebook. Please check out Rotate Digital. And once again, thank you very much for joining our podcast, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
man.
Travis.
Appreciate it.